The conversation between Alcaraz and Sinner was leaked. Just before stepping onto the center court in Turin, the two young tennis phenoms shared a few words that reflected their mutual respect and ambition, amid the countdown to the ATP Finals. Between smiles and jokes, they talked about what it means to fight for the world #1 ranking and how they feel playing indoors. Want to know how that chat went? Stay tuned, here's the whole story. The conversation began naturally. Alcaraz, relaxed and wearing his characteristic smile, told Sinner he found it incredible how fast the year had gone by, recalling their first training session together in 2022. Sinner, calm as ever, replied that what mattered most was to keep enjoying the game, even though things were now more serious with the #1 spot on the line. Both agreed that beyond rankings, what truly counts is maintaining the passion for competition. Then, as they stretched and hit a few easy balls, Alcaraz joked that Sinner had the advantage of playing at home. The Italian laughed and said that didn't help much against someone who runs as much as he does. The mood was relaxed, but there was a clear sense of deep respect between two rivals who admire each other. They briefly discussed the surface at the ALCARAZ Arena, agreeing that the court was fast and demanding, something both saw as an interesting challenge for their styles of play. At one point, the conversation turned more technical. Sinner commented that indoor courts allow him to better control flat shots and the ball's speed. Alcaraz replied that for him, the challenge was adjusting reaction time, especially after his recent experience in Paris. "There's no win to save you here," he said, laughing. Both nodded knowingly, aware that in Turin every detail could make the difference in this decisive week to close out the season. Then, the Spaniard playfully asked Sinner if he ever thought about being world #1. The Italian smiled and said he wasn't obsessed with it, but if it happened, it would be the result of hard work. "You have it in your hands," he added, referring to Alcaraz's mathematical chances. The Mercian humbly replied that what truly mattered was enjoying tennis, because being #1 without enjoying it makes no sense. Words that Sinner acknowledged with a pat on the shoulder. Their chat continued in a friendly tone. They talked about what it means to represent their countries and how pressure can become motivation. Alcaraz admitted that he always feels the energy of Spanish fans, even in tournaments far from home. Sinner, for his part, said that in Turin he feels a special responsibility, but also extra strength from the home crowd support. Both agreed that earning the respect of the public is one of the greatest rewards in professional tennis. The ATP Finals are taking shape at Turin's ALCARAZ Arena, where players are testing their form on the main court and practice court. The competition starts Sunday the 9th and runs until the 16th. Two major prizes are at stake: the title, defended by Italian Jannik Sinner, and the world #1 ranking, which he contests with Spain's Carlos Alcaraz, who mathematically has more options to finish the season as #1. It depends on himself. The Italian would need to win the title and get help from Alcaraz's results. It's the great rivalry of today's tennis world. For the second consecutive season, they've split the Grand Slam crowns evenly, 2 each. They've contested 3 of the 4 finals. They clearly dominate the professional circuit. Sinner is at home, with the indoor hard courts as allies. Alcaraz faces the challenge after a setback in the Paris indoor swing, though mentally and physically fresh. They're in different groups, so they could only meet in the semifinals or final. There's almost a week to go before that scenario can happen, but it's still surprising that the two decided to train together for almost 2 hours, when usually players hide any tactical hints from potential rivals. They spent an hour practicing shots on the training court, then simulated a competitive set on the main court where their matches will take place. There's no official order of play yet, with one spot still to be decided, between Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime and Italy's Lorenzo Musetti, who needs to win the title in Athens, where Novak Djokovic is also competing in the semi-finals. Djokovic already has a guaranteed spot in the year-end Masters, though his participation hasn't been officially confirmed. The Serbian was included in the draw, landing in the group with Alcaraz, American Taylor Fritz, and Australian Alex de Minaur, who would be Alcaraz's first opponent unless there are last-minute changes. In Sinner's group, German Alexander Zverev, American Ben Shelton, and either Auger-Aliassime or Musetti. Alcaraz and Sinner showed their good chemistry, as did their teams, during their meeting in Turin. It's a rivalry marked by sportsmanship and by both players' hunger to improve and dominate a duel that usually favors the Mercian when they face each other directly, 10 wins in 15 matches. The best moments of the Alcaraz-Sinner training session in Turin. There was huge anticipation in Turin on Friday morning when Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner trained together on the center court of the ATP Finals 2025 venue. It's unusual to see the two best players on the planet sharing a practice session, but both performed at a high level and left fans with unforgettable moments. The Spaniard and the Italian shared just over an hour and a half of training, exchanging friendly comments as usual when they meet on court. They began with warm-up exercises and some hitting on an adjacent court before testing themselves on the main stage in a simulated match featuring one set and a tiebreak. Sinner, backed by Italian fans who watched the session, took the set 6-3 after racing to a 3-0 lead. The tiebreak went to the player from El Palmar. Serbian Novak Djokovic, 38 years old and world number 5, continues to enjoy himself on a tennis court. That's why he sees no expiration date for his career, even though it's becoming harder for him to stay physically sharp in Grand Slam matches against players like Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. Noel now picks his schedule and goals as he pleases. With 24 Grand Slam titles, he can afford to. For example, skipping the Paris Masters 1000 to play instead in the current ATP 250 in Athens, an event he has personal ties to, as it originated in Serbia, then moved to Bosnia, and now to Greece, where he resides after disagreements with his home government. The entire tennis world is watching his situation closely, since the ATP Finals, the tournament for the 8 Masters of the season, start Sunday, November 9th, and run through the 16th. Everyone wants to know whether his place in the draw confirms he'll indeed play. Once the group distribution was revealed, Djokovic sent an early message to his group leader, Carlos Alcaraz, who heads the Jimmy Connors group alongside American Taylor Fritz and Australian Alex de Minaur. Novak Djokovic has won the NITO ATP Finals 7 times, twice in his most recent appearances, in 2022 and 2023. In the 2023 semifinals he eliminated Alcaraz, who, in his third appearance, will try to win a trophy that only 2 Spaniards, Manolo Orantes and Alex Corretja, have ever claimed. The Mercian is training in Turin, while the Serbian is gathering momentum in his new home, Athens. Carlos Alcaraz hasn't been lucky with the ATP Finals draw and faces one of the toughest groups possible, with Novak Djokovic as his main rival, while in the other group Jannik Sinner has had much better fortune. The ATP Finals are fast approaching, and this Monday the action begins in Turin. The season-ending tennis festival brings together the 8 best players in the world and will be crucial in revealing the sport's current balance of power. After Jannik Sinner took the world number 1 spot from Carlos Alcaraz at the Paris Masters 1000, the Spaniard now has the chance to win it back. To do so, he must reach the semifinals undefeated or make it to the final. It won't be easy, as the group draw has made clear. Alcaraz with Djokovic. In the first group, luck hasn't smiled on Carlos Alcaraz. The Mercian struggles on very fast courts, and this will be no exception. Moreover, after losing his opener in Paris to Cameron Norrie, he arrives with few references from the indoor swing. Having Novak Djokovic, if he confirms participation, as expected, certainly doesn't help. The Serb, the tournament's all-time record holder, returns after missing 2024. The group also includes 2 strong opponents who will make life tough for both stars: Taylor Fritz, one of the best performers of the year but who has struggled indoors with bad losses in Basel and Paris, and Alex de Minaur, a steady, tenacious player who always causes trouble in these events. Historically, though, Alcaraz has matched up well against the Aussie. Sinner with better luck. For Jannik Sinner, current world number 1, though he'll lose the spot on Monday unless he defends his title, the main rival will be Alexander Zverev. The German proved in Paris that, when confident, he can beat anyone, but also that he falters in big matches, as the San Candido native destroyed him in the semifinals. Then there's Ben Shelton, who has struggled with injuries and inconsistency lately. Rounding out the quartet will be either Felix Auger-Aliassime or Lorenzo Musetti, depending on who wins in Athens. In terms of difficulty, the Canadian poses a much greater threat and could be a strong candidate for the second spot, while Musetti, on paper, would struggle far more. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner are already in Turin, preparing well in advance for the season's final event. The ATP Finals 2025 will not only decide the last great champion of the year, they'll also determine who finishes as world number 1. Yet none of these goals compromise the great friendship that unites the Spaniard and the Italian, who reunited at the Inalpi Arena and shared a laugh and a hug, showing the camaraderie between them. A beautiful image that leaves us eager for the action to begin.